Hello and welcome to another episode of Movies That Make Us. I'm Jake.
And I'm Val.
And my computer is freezing, so hi.
Good. I'm like, did I not hear him?
I know, I was like, wait a second.
But maybe it's me. That's
I know.
Tracy.
No, it's my fun lack of internet speed out here. Although they are putting in Google Fiber. They're putting in Google Fiber, so that's nice.
That'll be good. Tracy will all of a sudden have better internet than all of us because he'll have Google Fiber.
They put it in our neighborhood, but I have yet to make the call to see what it's all about. There's one I actually have to do something. Why doesn't it just automatically just happen?
No, yeah, I think you have to call and sign up for it.
That's stupid.
Well,
they dug up my yard. They put stuff in. You think it would just automatically just connect to my house, right?
Well, I think it's like any other internet service that you might
Don't they know we're the generation of this now? Just bill me.
Yeah,
make it work.
You've got my information. I know you do. Just send it to me. You're Google. You have my information. Just
I have everything else. I have a Google phone. You have 70 Google whatevers that emails. They've got all my stuff. I'm not. They know that I'm not wearing pants right now. They knew before I told you.
Whoa.
And before that, we just suspected that you probably weren't wearing pants. Now,
so this is the thing. I went to the arts festival, and when I got there,
notorious for not wearing pants.
It was
at the arts festival.
No, listen. Let me finish my story. It's story time.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, it was 80
Gather
degrees.
Around, children.
Gather around. Let me tell you about no pants. No, I actually wore shorts, which is something I don't do very often. And then by the time we left, it was 95, 96 degrees. And when I got home, I was like, screw that. So,
yeah.
And then now I'm wearing sweatpants. So I don't consider sweatpants actual pants.
Okay. Nor should you. Nor should
I know
anyone.
there are some people that do because we see the videos all over the interwebs. But sweatpants are not pants, even though it has the word pants in the name.
Yeah,
I'd rather be in shorts than sweatpants.
Well, my basement's really cold, and when you go from 98 degrees to 70 degrees, and I was watching Gladiator, and I know I'm going to sit here, I figured I should probably put some pants on so I don't freeze in this little cold room.
That makes sense.
That makes sense.
I fear that I'm somehow reaching an age where sweatpants do become pants, because I remember when I was a kid, my dad being emphatic that you don't leave the house in sweatpants or basketball shorts. You put on real clothes to leave the house. And for the last few years, my dad, bless his heart, every time I've seen him anywhere, he's wearing sweatpants or basketball shorts. And so I'm thinking, is there an age in our family where we hit where that rule just totally gets ignored and thrown out the window?
I feel like it's not an age thing. It's the way you are.
Uh-huh.
I have been that way forever. Sweatpants are not you don't dress up to get out to leave the house and put sweatpants on unless it's 11 o'clock at night and you're running to the grocery store and you don't care, which still was very hard for me until I married Dave. And then Dave's like, who cares? Just put these sweatpants on. And I'm like, okay. But it's still hard for me. I would not allow Sammy to do leggings or sweatpants as a thing unless it was more put together. But I think this is the thing. From the ages of 0 to 7, and then the ages of 70 till you're dead, you have parallels in your life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And those are also clothes that don't contain zippers or snaps.
Yeah.
That's the ages that's a thing, unless that's just the way you've lived your whole life. Because I do know people that live their whole life in joggers.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if you're going to the gym, if you're a sporty person and like that's your thing, and they're a little bit nicer joggers, like I don't have an issue with that. But dressing up your joggers to go on a date with your wife to dinner or husband to dinner, to a dressy restaurant, like there, if you I'm looking at you, whoever's listening, if you have a pair of dressy joggers and then just around the house joggers, call me, let's have a conversation.
You're doing it wrong.
No, but maybe the person that you're seeing or you want to be seeing in your life, maybe they're like, you know what, like I don't want to change this person, but could they put on an actual pair of pants?
Well, now wait though. What if you did joggers and like a smart sport coat?
Okay, Chevy Chase. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Again, if this is your thing, if this is your persona, like this is who you are, I don't want to change you. But everyone should have like a nicer pair of slacks, a nicer pair of jeans, something for the one occasion that you should not be wearing joggers and or yoga pants and or things that don't have zippers, snaps, or pockets.
It's interesting. When I look over the last couple of years, my wardrobe, the clothes that I actually have in my closet have changed quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Because I used to have mostly like dress pants and dress shirts. And if I was going to buy something new, that's what I would buy because that's what I was wearing to work every day.
Yeah.
Now I've got a lot of dress shirts, but they are lasting longer because that stain that might have gone on there from lunch is just out of camera view. So that can be an at-home shirt. And most days I'm working from home, so that's totally fine.
That's still workable. View. What is that's out of camera view? Like put that into the 4 letters hashtag. Let's make that a thing. It's just out of camera view, so it doesn't count.
JOOCV, just out of camera view.
JOOCV. No, that's me too. Like, I was never like a jeans and a t-shirt kind of person. It was very rare that I was wearing jeans and a t-shirt together. It might be a nice shirt and jeans or a nice pair of pants and a t-shirt. But then as soon as I started working nerdy conventions, it was jeans and t-shirt. And now I'm like, I don't think I own a pair of dress slacks.
Yeah.
I just bought a pair of dressier pants, but they have drawstring. So are they dressy? I don't know.
Yeah.
They're the swishy material. Yeah. Like they're kind of like nice hiking pants that I can wear to work at conventions that aren't as hot as my jeans because I didn't want to buy a pair of khakis.
Yeah.
I have to say, this is one of the weirdest intros we've done in a while.
Well, and I was just going to make a comment about how much easier women have it than men as far as dressing and the dress code and stuff. But I'm not going to because I don't think right now pointing out small examples of how women have anything easier than men is appropriate. So we're going to move past that real quick. Yeah.
Smart man.
Yeah.
No, let's have this conversation.
No, let's not. Nope.
That's on the Seemingly Appropriate podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna move that over to Seemingly Appropriate podcast, and
that's where that's gonna go. Yeah. Did you guys hear the box office news this weekend?
What about the box office?
Elvis tied with Top Gun. Top Gun continues to pull in the money.
Yeah.
And Jurassic Park went to 3, and was it Lightyear that went 4? I think.
Yeah. I'm not surprised that Top Gun is where it is still because I don't think if I'm looking at if you're looking at the movies and it's been a while since you've gone to a movie and you're saying I'm going to go out to a movie and you're trying to decide which one is worth going to see in the theater, out of what's out right now, Top Gun is absolutely what I would say 100%. Is your number one choice to go see in the theater.
If you want my order, I would say Top Gun and then Elvis and then Lightyear and then Jurassic. But I do want to preface, and I'm telling this to all the Elvis fans out there, if you're going to go see Elvis, you just have to know that it's not going to be like any other Elvis experience that you've had because Baz Luhrmann is a very specific director and he has a very specific feel with his movies. And so it's a little twisted, but I really enjoyed it. I took my dad and he really enjoyed it as well. So
yeah.
Nice.
I've heard.
Did I take my dad?
Things.
No, I took Dave.
Yeah. I've heard mixed things about Elvis, but that seems to be in line with what I've heard.
Just his entire life, or just in this movie?
Elvis has always been a funny thing to me. I've never really been into the Elvis music, and I'll be honest, like I don't totally get it, but man, Elvis fans are like some of the most loyal, diehard fans out there.
Yeah.
I really want to do a podcast on Seemingly, since we brought it up already. And it could be a co-podcast with this one because it would be about movies. But what's interesting is that Elvis and Marilyn Monroe were in the time of Hollywood where if you got connected with the wrong people or the wrong person, you could be a star and not have any control of your life whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people don't understand that Elvis was not in control of his business, which is him, which is his name. And he was being controlled by someone. Marilyn Monroe was controlled in a different way. But it's just this really weird time in Hollywood that lasted about 10 years. And a lot of the people that we are fond of from that period were ruined by people who used them and abused them. And what I love about Baz Luhrmann as a director is that he takes something that we have kind of forgotten about. I'm not saying we've forgotten about Elvis, but I feel like there was a time period where it was all about Elvis. It was Elvis TV shows, Elvis movies, Elvis, like all this stuff. And then it went quiet for a while. And Baz has a way of taking something that was once important to us and then making it important again.
Relevant again. Yeah.
And I really like what he did. If you're an Elvis fan, I think you will enjoy the movie, because I remember watching all of the Elvis specials with my mom. My mom was a huge Elvis fan. My first tattoo, I almost got Elvis lyrics for my mom, but I decided to go a different route. But I probably will still end up at some point getting some Elvis lyrics tattooed on me. But like, I remember watching all the specials. I remember seeing all the posters. So watching the movie and how they recreate all of these moments in time that if you remember it, it's so crazy how it's mimicked, but then kind of in this dark way that how you kind of see what's behind the scenes at the same time that it's happening. And I wasn't quite sure how I was going to feel about the actor who played Elvis, and he did a phenomenal job. Like he sang the music until a little bit further on into the movie when they kind of matched his voice with Elvis's voice, so you could still get that. But I don't know how much footage he watched of Elvis, but he had all of the body language down, just to the teeniest, tiniest little things. I mean, he stole the show. Tom Hanks is in it, but he stole the show. But yeah, it was, for me, I thought it was really great. I think if you're not a huge Elvis fan, it's going to feel long. It's going to feel a little long. I understand why he went long in some of these places for fans. But it is a little bit longer, but for me, it's a B+. I would like to see it again because I do know that I missed some things. But still, like Top Gun, I would go watch if you said we have tickets Monday through Thursday, do you want to go? I'd say what times? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I will be there. Let's go. So Elvis, you have to put a little time in between because it is a little bit harder to swallow. But
Well, I think it's possible that we see Top Gun at the top until, I mean, it sounds like it's tied right now at the top.
We have Thor coming.
It may make it to Thor. That's next week.
I'm going to do a little prediction.
Minions.
I think that Thor is going to spend one weekend at the top, and then Top Gun is going to go right back up there.
Would not surprise me.
Because I don't think that Thor is going to be what everybody wanted it to be, but I think it's going to be enjoyable. And then Minions, of course, because it's a family movie and it's summer family animation, it'll probably go to the top 4 a week, and it'll probably tie Top Gun. I think Top Gun has at least 3 more #1 weekends in it.
Yeah.
Whether it's consecutive, I don't know, but I do think. And our friend
Very
Jeff
close.
at Megaplex said they may be putting it back in the IMAX theater.
I've heard that.
And if that happens, I do think it'll go up again, at least in Utah. So
it is approaching the $1 billion mark.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Well, that's great because Tom Cruise was suffering, so it's good to help him out a little bit.
Poor Tom.
No, it's a fun movie, and I'm not gonna, Tom's my boy, so we're not gonna say anything bad about Tom. But Tom's my boy. That's the most ridiculous thing I've said.
Can you put hashtag ever. Tom's my boy?
Yes. Yes.
I cannot imagine how upset he would be if he ever heard me say something like that. He'd see that anyway. He wouldn't care. He
wouldn't care. He'd be like, "Yeah, I'm your boy."
Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
What's your name again?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know that Minions. I think Minions will have a good opening weekend. But I also feel like that may be the area where people say, if I'm going to spend money to go to the theater, I'm going to go for an experience. And Minions, I can wait and watch with my kids when it comes to streaming.
Yeah.
And because a lot of these have been going a lot more quickly to streaming.
Right. Especially the animated ones. Yeah.
Yeah. So that may be one where people say, yeah, I've heard it's great, but I'm going to wait and watch it with my kids. I probably wouldn't be hurt not seeing Minions in the theater personally. So, but Thor, I feel like I have to see in the theater.
Yeah.
So
yeah, hopefully I will see it. Because the press screening for Utah is coming up this week, but I'm going to miss it because I'll be in LA. But hopefully, as soon as it comes out in theaters, I'll just go see it same day, something like that, and then I can.
Yeah.
And then everything will be right in the world.
Yeah. If I have to, I'll just block out some time on my work calendar for a meeting and then go see Thor. I'll never know.
Allegedly.
Right.
Allegedly. So I do want to say we are talking about this month. We're talking about all the big summer blockbusters, not all of them, but some of the big summer blockbusters.
Mm-hmm.
And today we are talking about Gladiator. But I remember when I was a little bit younger, right when this movie came out, and for the first couple of years, I was like, "Have you seen The Gladiator?" It's not The Gladiator; it's just Gladiator.
Yeah.
And I would have people really get angry, movie friends really get angry at me. It's not The Gladiator, Val. And I'm like, is it the end of the world? Okay, so it's Gladiator. And I'm just going to say it right now. Gladiator, 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 Gladiator.
I will try to refrain from being sarcastic and saying The Gladiator for the rest of the episode. I can see people responding that way in a ridiculous, that. It's just one of those things. Actually, it's Gladiator, not The Gladiator. Who cares?
Well, it bugs me too when it's the Ohio State University. It's you're just Ohio State. Come on.
All right. Tracy's still singing a little bit from the Rose Bowl.
Now
loss.
They are the.
I'm there with you, my friend. I know they are the Ohio State University. And I think I've always thought that was funny because you put the in there to differentiate from other. There's only one Ohio State. Why do we need the Ohio State?
Right.
I mean, I know we're making fun of that, but my handles on all social media is the Valerie Cameron or the Val Cameron.
Well, that's all right.
Ohio State owes me a little bit of it was me first, Ohio State. It was me first. They can afford it.
Yeah. They can. They can also afford way better lawyers, and I think we probably could. So
good point.
We have lawyers?
Well, exactly. Exactly. Well, it's good we were talking about Thor and Russel Crowe, who's in Gladiator, who plays the Gladiator in Gladiator.
See, then you can say the Gladiator.
Yeah.
Because he is, yeah.
And he plays the Zeus in Thor, Love and Thunder. So we're tying it all together here.
Well done, sir.
Thor, Love and Thunder, directed by the Taika Waititi. So who has nothing to do with Gladiator.
No,
but I feel like if anybody deserves the in front of their name, it would be Taika Waititi. Well,
Thor Ragnarok had a gladiator fight.
It did. That's true.
So
that's true.
Yeah.
But their Hulk was
oh my gosh, I can't believe this. So Gladiator came out May 5th of 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is probably my favorite Ridley Scott film. Do you guys have a favorite Ridley Scott film?
We know Tracy has a favorite Ridley Scott film.
No, I really, I'm hit or miss with a lot of Ridley.
Oh, I thought he was one of your favorites.
I like him quite a bit, but there's a bunch that I'm like, but this one is up there.
I know you love Alien.
Alien is really good. The Alien prequels, the Prometheus and Alien Covenant, are really, really, really good. But then he's done some other stuff where it's just, what was the Versace movie?
Yeah.
House of Gucci. The Last Duel.
Yeah.
Now,
I like Blade Runner, but there are some issues. I do love The Martian,
good.
And that one is
The Martian is really good.
Yeah, The Martian. Right, but it's just Blade Runner, not the Blade Runner.
Right, and it's not Marvin the Martian. It's just The Martian.
Well, that's important to recognize as well. If you went into The Martian thinking it was Marvin the Martian, that was a huge disappointment. Right,
I don't know that. I think it would have been like right immediately. You would have been like, "What?" But then, if you would have finished watching the film, you would have been okay with it because the movie is really good.
Yeah, I'm just picturing like a guy or a lady. I don't know. I'm whatever. But I'm just picturing a person, an individual who's like decked out head to toe in their Marvin the Martian gear, and they're like, finally, Marvin's getting the recognition he deserves. And then the movie starts, and they're like, "This is not."
Matt Damon.
I hate you, Matt Damon. I hate you.
Matt Damon's playing Marvin the Martian, and then, it was just downhill from there.
I gotta say though, like the thing that I really like about Ridley Scott is that dude just doesn't stop working.
Yeah, he's done a ton.
He's got to be mid-80s. I think he was born in 1937. So it's like, I mean, and he's still making movies and releasing them. He's talked for a while about doing a sequel to Gladiator. He wants to do a different biopic first. I can't remember what it's alleged, but then he's wanted to do another Gladiator featuring the boy.
Yeah. That one's going to be called The Gladiator. And then the next one will be called Too Gladiator, Too Furious. And it'll just go from there.
I want to go back to this biopic.
Until it gets to G9.
Is it biopic or biopic?
I don't know. That's a great question.
Both ways.
Yeah, I've heard it both
biopic
ways.
To me sounds like something that happens in a science lab, or like I'm going to get my eyes looked at and they're going to use the biopic to get in there real close.
Yeah.
That's a biopic.
I'm going to keep saying biopic because I'm American and I want to say every single letter.
I'm just going to type it out and just avoid using it in spoken language just so I don't say it wrong. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to call it a biographical picture from now on.
There you go.
Because I also feel like we don't use the term picture to refer to a movie often enough anymore. I really enjoyed Russel Crowe in this particular picture. We just don't use that in that kind of context enough.
Yeah, they haven't really done that since like the 1920s.
Now, for those who aren't familiar with Ridley Scott, he is the slightly less successful brother of Tony Scott. What's his name? Who was the director of the original Top Gun?
Tony Scott.
Yeah, Tony Scott.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not fair. Ridley's slightly, and Tony's passed away, and so I should be more respectful. I'm sorry.
I do think that whether I like the movie, like a Ridley Scott movie or not, he really does know how to do great action scenes
Yeah.
in almost every style of movie, because we've got
Right.
Alien, we have Blade Runner, we have The Last Duel. Even though I didn't care for the movie, there were some great action scenes in the movie. But the story is crap. Even in House of Gucci, there's some adult action scenes in there that he really did well. Thelma and Louise, American Gangster, G.I. Jane. I'm a fan of Robin Hood. I know not a lot of people like that movie with Russell Crowe.
It wasn't
I
awful.
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Black Hawk Down. I mean, it's really like it's all these different genres of action, right? He doesn't just stick to one genre, which I really like. And he knows what needs to be seen on the screen, whether the story's crap or not. What you're looking at is usually going to be really good, right? And he knows how to cast a film. I mean, just Gladiator, Russell Crowe, Joaquin Phoenix, Connie Nielsen, and I'm gonna try and say this right, but Jamin Hanso, is that how you say that? I love him. I fell in love with him. Jamin Hansu, I fell in love with him in this movie. And in every movie he's been in since then, he has not disappointed. The movie may have been crap, but he was good in it. Yeah. He has this way about not needing to say much and being able to emote feeling in such a good way. There are so many moments in Gladiator with him and Russell Crowe in the same scene, and he holds his own against, this big time movie star in this movie.
Yeah. Every time you say his name, you bring up that actor, I always want to respond with who, because he's the guy that says that to Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Who?
Well, the other thing that's really interesting about Ridley Scott is the guy shoots fast. Like I think it was last year when Gucci came out, he had The Last Duel and Gucci, and like one other movie came out the same year. So whenever he's on set, like he knows when he's got it. A lot of directors will, I think I've got it, but let's do another 5 takes just to make sure. And he's like, nope, got to move on.
And Gucci is a well-shot film. I just want to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen it, but I've heard it's well.
You don't need to. You don't need to.
That's mostly what I've heard. That's mostly what I've heard. So I'm just trying to make sure. I was going through the list, and I think we're good of the movies that we've covered. And I was worried because I remember having this Ridley Scott, Tony Scott conversation before about, and so I was like, have we talked about Gladiator before on the show?
We talked about, so this is what happened. We talked a little bit about Gladiator when we did a staff pick, because when we brought up Gladiator, I was like, I think we've talked about it, and then I went back and looked, and it was in our staff pick, so we didn't make it a whole episode, but we made it a staff pick. And so we talked about it for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, which is going to be probably about the same here because we go off on tangents, but we're deep diving a little bit more.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. All right.
I love the coloring in this film, though.
Yeah.
When they're in Germania.
It's biopic, either way. Tomato.
Everything is so blue. And then later on, everything goes to this very dusty yellow, and there's some real iconic shots in this. I mean, the hand going through the wheat.
Yes.
The scene with him with the sword, with the tiger coming out of the pit. I mean, there's some real memorable moments in this.
For me, I know that the coloring in the film is iconic because whenever I think of this movie, I think of that yellowy, dusty kind of color. Like in all of their branding, they did it, and it is so strong in the film, and it's hard to remember any other way. So I agree.
Think of the stone. Really well done. I think of the stone color, that stoic stone, hard, and because they make him feel like hard rock at a lot of points, and a lot of time when Joaquin Phoenix is on the screen, it will go from that dusty color to then it goes to him, and it's that almost no color
Cold.
stone
Yes.
cold.
Mhm.
But gosh, I think the biggest color change for me was when he turns down basically staying in the kingdom, right? And
Yeah.
supporting Joaquin's character, and you see his son. It's just this bright day, and you see his land, and you see his son come out, and he thinks dad's home, and all the soldiers are coming up, and it just looks like a bright spring or summer day. And then the worst thing happens, and then when it switches to him riding home, you now have that blue that has come in, and it's not quite stone yet. And then when he gets to the point where he sees his family, and he's down on the ground, and his son's feet are right there.
It's like saturated.
It's so overly saturated, because you just feel heavy and sad, and it's just this, and it's just so dirty, and at the same time, just that's quick change right there.
And it's so good, because earlier when he thinks about home, it has that bright green, and it's got the bright blue, and it's very much full of life and energy. So when you get to that scene, that was always his happy place. That's where he would go.
And now it doesn't exist.
And now it doesn't exist anymore. Yeah.
Just it's hard every time. I know it's coming, and it's heart-wrenching, and I know that it's coming. And but and then the more and more that he becomes a gladiator, and he kind of accepts where he's going, that area that he's in slowly becomes brighter and brighter. And so when he's in charge and he's out there fighting, and you have him, and the men out there, there are vivid colors and there's brightness. And then when it switches over, to Joaquin, and it goes to that stone color again, it's very much playing with our feelings and our, emotions at a very quick pace. It just, he really knows what he's doing. And I feel like there's almost also like a different color every time we see the guy who's in charge of the gladiators. What's his name?
Oh yeah.
I love him so much, and I can't ever remember his name. But every time he's on screen, I feel like he almost has his own coloring. And I don't know if that's just me, but I rewound some of the, scenes again just to see. And I don't know, but I feel like he did kind of have his own, because he was kind of living his dream outside of this world that Gladiator was in, and this politics that was happening. He had built this whole other world, and I feel like that whole other world has its own feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that.
One of the things that always stands out to me in this movie too is the soundtrack. Like, the music is just really brilliantly done. It's one of those, there are a few soundtracks that I can just turn on and listen to that just kind of take me back into the movie and into the moment. And this is definitely one of those for me that I can put on anytime, and it's almost like watching the movie again for me.
Does it remind anybody of Pirates of the Caribbean, or is it just me?
A little bit.
I can hear like little, like they're almost like cousins, they're not the same, but there's like little moments where, I don't know, that's always caught me. But
Oliver Reed.
Oh yes. The soundtracks for me, I would put this one, I would say, in terms of like making me think of the movie and being back in there. Any of the John Williams stuff, of course, the Indiana Jones, Star Wars, The Mission, and The Fountain. Those are two for me that, as soon as I hear any of the music from that, I'm like, back in.
Yeah, I mean, The Fountain for sure, or not The Fountain, excuse me, The Mission for sure. Like, anytime you hear that is so recognizable. But yeah, this is definitely, and John Williams, of course, anytime. I mean, his stuff is so iconic that it's hard to think of Star Wars without John Williams.
Indy 5 will be probably his last major score.
You know, he should
He's
have
90,
just.
I think. Yeah.
He's getting up there in age.
Yeah.
He's put in his time, man.
He has. It's so fun to think about. Like, he was writing TV themes and stuff like that when he did Jaws, and then as George Lucas was working on Star Wars, and Steven said, "Hey, you got to check this guy out to do your music," and just the difference that made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Hans Zimmer is the one who did the music for this film, and he's only 64. And I love Hans Zimmer. I mean, he's done some amazing work, and I hope we hear some more. I feel like for a while it was all Hans Zimmer. And then I feel like I haven't.
Yeah.
And then I feel like I haven't. But I mean, he did Top Gun. He did Interstellar. He did Dune, the new Dune movie.
Yep.
And so he's coming back because, for a while there, he did No Time to Die. He did Dunkirk. And Pirates of the Caribbean. So
yeah, I knew he did. I knew it was the same composer, and that's why I've always kind of, when you say that they're kind of cousins, Tracy, I can see those moments where they feel that way, because it is. But it's similar, and I don't think it's a bad thing, because to me it's similar to how the Indiana Jones theme and the Star Wars theme and the Superman theme are all
they all make you feel a certain way,
because they're all in that same kind of era of John Williams music, and so they kind of all have that same, the bombastic trumpets and things like that, and so I can see that with the two scores from Gladiator and Pirates of the Caribbean, or the Gladiator and the Pirates of the Caribbean, if you wish. But I feel like Hans Zimmer is kind of, John Williams, I think you're right. I think this is probably his last one with Indiana Jones 5, and he really hasn't been super active for the last few years. But I think now it's kind of, everybody's looking to like the Hans Zimmers and the Danny Elfmans to kind of pick up the scoring.
I can never say his last name. Michael Gucciano.
I'm not sure.
He does a ton. He did the music for Up. He did. He's done so much.
John Williams did for the new Disney Plus Kenobi. He did just Kenobi's music.
He did,
but he didn't do the music for the whole thing, and so he's been doing little things like that. But I mean, he's put in his time. He's proven like every. So I mean, so he doesn't really have. But I mean, people with that kind of mentality is like they love working. It's not work. They, that's what they do. That's what they know. So
and he's contributed a ton, and Hans Zimmer has as well. So
I want to ask you guys: do you feel like this movie would be as good without the casting that they have?
No,
because I don't. I think the plot's pretty similar to other stuff we've seen. There's nothing really super groundbreaking. I think the performances take it to the next level.
I think that we could recast this if we really thought about it and have two newer, like we could have two other very, very strong actors in there, and I think it would do just as well. But I do think that this movie was right place, right time, right person. And,
Absolutely.
Russel Crowe was huge at the time. Joaquin Phoenix he's always been a dark horse. He's been in a whole bunch of, up till this point, he was in a whole bunch of indie films that people loved. Like I loved him in Inventing the Abbots and like all these other things. And so when I saw that he was going to be in it, and I was so excited he was going to have a meteor role to play, I was, excited about that. But I mean, at the time I would, and I still feel this way, even though he's been in some crap. I would follow Russel Crowe to the theater anytime. He's been in some movies that haven't been super great over the last couple of years, but he always gives a great performance. And so, but I feel like we could, this is one of those, I feel like we could replace Russel Crowe and Joaquin Phoenix with some other two heavy hitters, and I still think it would be a good movie.
I agree. I just mean, like, the cinematography is great, the music's great, but the plot, the story, the script,
the story's weak.
Kind of okay. I don't think it would work as well if you didn't have as quality of actors as you do.
Well, and this was, I mean, this role, I think, was the role that really put, I mean, Russel Crowe was up and coming, but this is what really put him on the map. When you look at yeah, I mean, and he won Oscar for Best Actor in it, and he puts in a great performance for it. But you look at before that, and like the biggest movie he was in before that was like L.A. Confidential, and I don't think
Yeah.
he has a big role in that.
And that
But
became a cult hit. That wasn't a big
Yeah.
box office hit.
right,
Yeah.
but then you had Gladiator, and that was followed up with A Beautiful Mind, Master and
Mhm.
Commander, Cinderella Man, like 310 to Yuma, all of these films that I think
Yeah.
now he's known for.
Yeah.
All came
Right.
after Gladiator.
I
I
think
don't-
310 to Yuma is so
That's a good
underrated,
movie.
and him
Yeah.
and Christian Bale, like I think we've talked about that movie before,
Mhm.
but I really think they both did
Fantastic,
some of their best work in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And they're
I don't know.
reunited in Thor. It all comes back around.
Yeah, they are reunited in Thor. That's true. I don't know, Tracy. It's a good question about the casting. I mean, I do think we could recast it, and it would still
Yeah.
be really good. But I also feel like this was a lightning in a bottle kind of moment where you got the right
Mhm.
cast together, the right director, the right score, all of that put together to make a really great movie that I still think holds up really well, even 22 years
Oh,
later.
absolutely. Absolutely. And the
Yeah.
thing that I think is really cool about this movie too is like when this was being put together, they were just in the intro really of really good special effects with compositing. So he would do the painted, usually you'd paint on glass for your backdrops. And so he would use that, but then he would supplement with some computer animation and computer generated imagery. And the shot where you're going, you start off kind of at the bottom of the Coliseum and you go up and over the flags and into the arena. Like the first part of that, they actually shot at the Coliseum and then refigured, and then the rest of that's computer. But they do a really, really good job, especially for the time, of combining those where they hold up still today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they tried to do something similar with Alexander. And Troy. I really enjoyed Troy. Alexander, I feel like Alexander, it was short a lot. Like there was a lot of things that didn't work out with that film. Val Kilmer was in that film. Who else was in that film? Who's the guy that was in who's Legolas? He was in that film, right?
Orlando Bloom.
Was he in that film? Alexander. But again, all these movies kind of, tried to hit. I would like to talk about Troy at one point.
Colin Farrell, Angelina Jolie, Rosario Dawson, Val Kilmer, Jared Leto, Anthony Hopkins.
Jared Leto is who I was trying to think of.
But I do think Orlando Bloom is in one of these Greek.
I think he was in Troy.
Yeah.
He was in Troy, but I also think he was in another one that Ridley Scott did. What was it? I'm going to look while you guys chat.
Yeah.
I just saw it.
Alexander's an interesting one. When you read through those actors that are in there, it feels like they were trying to get, I don't know. I guess most of them weren't probably
Kingdom of Heaven.
Names, but
oh yeah,
okay.
Kingdom of Heaven.
That is a Ridley Scott film. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, Jake. It's just really interesting because it should work. There are so many reasons why Alexander should work, but it always feels like it doesn't quite go where it needs to go. Like Val Kilmer almost gets there, but doesn't quite get there. You know what I mean? And they actually give for a movie that's made it around this same time, they give Angelina Jolie's character some good meat. Because all these movies, as much as I love them, guys, there's usually one or two females in it, if you're lucky, mainly one, and then the rest are all men. And this woman has a very specific type, and it's almost the same story in every one of these movies, right?
Yeah.
But with Alexander, Angelina Jolie's part is actually kind of a turntable. She can change what's happening within these men's world. But it's the men around her that they don't give big enough stories to. It's just all these weak kind of things. Where in Gladiator, she's got what's her name in Gladiator?
Connie Nielsen.
She does a really great job. because she has to play every single one of these men in a different way to stay alive. And I love the way that they show that, you know.
And I love too, they set that up right at the beginning when she's talking to Russel Crowe after he meets with the father, with Caesar. And she's like, she asks him a question and he's like, I think that you're really good about staying alive. Like, that just sets it up so well for the rest. Yeah. But you're right. She does have to play these different men in different ways in order to get what she needs to get. Yeah.
And that's just to stay alive and to not have her son be killed. But it's very Game of Thrones before we get Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? Like, it's very this strong female character that really can manipulate. She could manipulate Joaquin Phoenix all the way across the board, but there's still that, I know I'm a woman and my son could die if she goes and takes it all the way to get rid of him and it doesn't work out the right way, then her son dies. She doesn't really care about herself. So she's trying to set up a situation that he can be taken out. So it's very, I think it's very well done. But I'm very happy that we see more female characters in more movies now. But I think that's maybe why I didn't love his newest one, the Duel, The Last Duel is I feel like you did a story about a woman who is being persecuted and she gets the least amount of time on screen.
Yeah. A lot of people, that was a common complaint with that movie. And
the haircuts, the hairdos are totally, they took me away. Every time they were on screen, it took me out of it. And Ben Affleck's character shouldn't have been that big of a deal. And he shouldn't have had bleach blonde hair during that time period.
It's interesting because, you know, you mentioned how old is Ridley Scott? You said he's going into his mid-80s.
He's got to be mid-80s or higher. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, you know, there's probably a reason why 65 is a good retirement age for some of these things. You know, when you're a product of a previous kind of generation and a way of thinking, it's hard to,
he's
you know,
84.
and you bring that into modern storytelling, and I think that makes it difficult. You know?
I'm glad the story was told because it's an important story.
It's an interesting story that I didn't know about. But
I know some people that really, really loved it. Most of them were male. And I'm not saying that there weren't some very powerful moments, but if you're going to put a story on screen that is about this woman and I like the way he told it because he gave them each their own segmented storylines from their point of view. But her point of view was less than everyone else. And the story is about her. Yeah. So for me, all I wanted for this movie to be better was to give her more time, her storyline more time to give the point across to the film. Other than that, like, it wasn't a horrible film. It just kind of made me angry because I'm like, okay, what you're doing is totally pointless.
Yeah, and that's why I'm really hit or miss with Ridley. The stuff that he does that I like, it really resonates with me. And then the stuff that bombs, it just didn't work. And Last Duel is really long too. It feels long.
Yeah. But, and I root for Ridley Scott every time I see he's got a movie out. I'm like, okay, Gucci's not getting good reviews, but like, I want to go in and I'm going to give it my, you know, it's Ridley. So
Interesting. Yeah. But this film, Gladiator, the Gladiator movie called Gladiator, what are we going to give it for a grade?
I can go. For me, it's a solid B. I really love all the action. I really love the casting of the film, the coloring of the film, the editing, the timing. Like, it's all there for me. There are a few things that I just make it so that I can't watch this over and over, but I probably do watch it every couple of years because I'm like, I love it. I love this movie. It's great. I do think that the story is a little wobbly and it does very much weigh pretty heavily on the acting, like Tracy said. And it's hard because I want to give it a B plus as well. And I feel like I'm not being fair to it because Top Gun I gave an A to, and it's almost the same thing. Like the story's pretty wobbly, and without the actors, it wouldn't be. However, now I'm going to give it a B plus. I'm going to change it from a B to a B plus, because I do think it. But it is. I agree with Jake and Tracy with Drake. It's like this lightning in a bottle that hit at the right time. And I did watch it again, and I feel like it doesn't feel old to me. It doesn't feel like a movie that was shot in 2000.
Yeah. I'm probably the same. I'm I'm right on the edge of B plus B. Somewhere right in there. It feels a little long to me watching it again today. I'm like, we could have trimmed some of the stuff, but I do love the coloring. I love the editing, especially during the gladiator fights. I think that's phenomenal. The acting is phenomenal. Your hero is only as good as the villain, and Joaquin Phoenix is just such an interesting actor. He just does these little things that just are so well done. I'm probably going to go B plus.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, Val, when you bring up Top Gun and giving it an A. And a lot of the same criticisms could be launched at this one that we did to Top Gun. And I think that that's a timing thing, right? I think when Gladiator came out, if we were talking about this in 2000, we'd probably give it an A because it's like, oh, this is fresh and exciting and cool.
Yeah.
But the reality is, like, the story is one that we've seen before. I mean, really, if you want a guy who has to rise up because the establishment kills his wife and family, and then he's got to take on the whole establishment, you watch Gladiator, you can watch The Patriot, you can watch Braveheart, and the list continues. Which one?
Spartacus.
It just goes on and on. And so it's not like this isn't a story we haven't seen before, but I do think that the acting is what brings it up into that B plus range for me. Without the acting, I think I would put it in more of a B minus C plus, just because, like, okay, we've seen this before. This isn't anything new. But the acting really elevates it. Joaquin Phoenix is incredible. Russel Crowe deservedly won the award that he did for this, and I think he's a solid actor, despite questionable decisions that he's made in his career. But sometimes and also
sometimes something sounds great, and then you get there and it just doesn't turn out the way that you want it to.
I was so excited when I heard he was going to be in Les Mis and play Javert. I thought this will be kind of cool, and Hugh Jackman as Jean Valjean. And then I watched the movie and I thought, this is not as good as I wanted it to be, and I was a little disappointed. So you're right.
I enjoyed it just fine the first time.
I liked the movie, but anyway.
It wasn't what you expected it to be.
Yeah. So, but this movie, I think B plus is about where I'm at on it as well. It's enjoyable, it's fun, but I think the actors are what make it enjoyable and fun, and the amazing filmmaking that goes into it as well. So
now, really quick, speaking of B movies,
yes,
July 21st, come out to Brewvies downtown. We're going to be watching Sharknado. Unfortunately, Val can't join us. She's going to be at San Diego Comic-Con. I'm so jealous. But we've got incredible prizes. We've got
incredible prizes.
Signed autographs from Ian Ziering and Tara Reid from Sharknado. Passes to Fan X. We've got a signed football from Utah football coach Kyle Whittingham. Val's Dave is giving away a $600 tattoo session, which I'm going to be buying some tickets for because, So it's going to be fun. It's all for charity. It's all for the American Cancer Society. Come out and get some pulled pork nachos and a beverage of your choice, and just come watch a bad movie for a good cause.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're hoping this goes well. We know it's going to go well. We really want to see everybody out there. And we would like to plan to do this more often as well. So this could be the first of many, unless you guys don't come, and then we won't do it again because so come so that we can keep doing fun stuff like this. And the prizes are incredible, and it is a really good cause. So
and Val's bringing some movie swag that she's gotten from the studios. So we got some great stuff. So come on out. It's $15 at the door. Going to be a fun night.
Now, Tracy, we're raising these funds to fight cancer, American Cancer Society, as part of a team that you're part of for the Dopey Run Challenge. That Val and I are not joining you this year as part of the Dopey Challenge.
In the future.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
We're doing something together in the future.
But your team so far this year has raised how much for the American Cancer Society?
So this is for Marathon Weekend, which is in January, and the Princess runs, which are in February, I think, maybe in March. But so far, our team, just the Run Disney team for American Cancer Society, has raised over $94,000. We're hoping to get over $100,000 by early next week, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, that's just awesome. So,
I mean, ACS, it does so much. They run the Hope Lodge, where people can come and stay for free while they're getting treatment. They're trying to find cures for cancer. They're trying to educate people. Just a phenomenal group. And there's really nobody who hasn't been touched in some way by cancer. It's such a voracious disease that, it seems like everybody's got a story or a connection to it. So, come out and support a great cause. 100% of anything anybody donates, with the raffle tickets, with the movie admission, all of it goes to ACS. We're not getting a cut of it. There's no overhead. 100% of your donation goes.
Yep. None of this is going to us, to Brewvies. It's all going to ACS. And with all the division that's out there in the world today, the one thing I think we can all, and there's only one thing, there used to be two, but now the one thing that we can all agree on is that cancer sucks and we need to fight cancer. So
yes, absolutely.
That's one thing that we can all agree on. So we would love to see you July 21st. It's going to be so much fun. I mean, honestly,
7 p.m. Brewvies, downtown Salt Lake.
7 p.m. Brewvies. Honestly, this isn't going to be like going to a movie where everybody has to be quiet because this is a really good movie. Like, we're going to be laughing. We're going to be making fun of it. It's going to be like, we were talking about this last night, Tracy. It's going to be like going and seeing Mystery Science Theater 3000. Like, that's the atmosphere that we would like to have watching this movie on July 21st.
I'm so sad that I'm not going to be there now.
We'll FaceTime you, Val.
So
we'll just FaceTime
you. You need to call me. Yes, no, just call me when you're welcoming everyone in, so I can see everybody and say hi.
Yeah. We're still going to have you run the raffle and everything. We're just going to have you run it from your phone.
Oh, okay.
You'll be off work by then. It'll be in the evening. You'll be fine.
Yeah, perfect. No, we weren't planning on
Comic-Con, I believe, goes till like 10. So
yeah, but it's going to be awesome. We want to see everybody there. Tell your friends. It's going to be a lot of fun. Tickets are at the door, $15 to get in, and then you can buy additional raffle tickets as well. So
you get a raffle ticket just for showing up.
Yep. So we're excited. And that's our show for today. So until July 21st, we won't see you at the movies.
See ya.
Are you not entertained? That's what we should end this with. Are you not
entertained?
This has been a Stolen Droids Media